My name is Angela Wilhite, and I'm from Auburn, Alabama. I got my diagnosis on February 23rd. In January, I went in for my annual mammogram and thought, okay, this is routine, and it turned out it wasn't routine. I had a suspicious spot that wasn't on my last year's mammogram, and so from there we went and did a biopsy, and then the radiologist called me, and I knew as soon as it was the radiologist and not the tech that it was going to be bad news. And so, yeah, I got that diagnosis and then had a lumpectomy and started chemo, and now I'm almost finished with radiation. I really trust my OB-GYN, and I fell in love with my surgeon, and they both just guided me through the process. And when I saw Spencer Cancer Center, I was like, why would I go anywhere else? It's a beautiful, top-notch place to be, and so convenient because I have kids, and that way I didn't have to travel. It was all right here, 15 minutes from my house. I wish I had known that I wouldn't feel terrible the whole time. That first weekend, I mean, my doctor had said, you know, timing wise, that I would feel better, and I was like, okay, I didn't really understand what that meant. And so that first weekend of chemo, I felt so bad. But then the second weekend in between chemo, I felt normal again, and I wish that I had understood that from the beginning, because that would have given me a little bit more optimism. I think the most difficult part, besides being like, oh, I've got cancer, is just managing those expectations. Because before, when I was in that waiting period before my diagnosis, people would be like, oh, my mother-in-law or my friend had this and they didn't have cancer. And then you're like, oh, okay, I've got cancer. And then it's like, oh, okay, I've got to have chemo. And just not to expect the worst, but just kind of know going into it that things aren't going to go as planned, and maybe it's better to have lower expectations. Get your mammogram, because my cancer wasn't, you could not feel it, and so it was only detectable through a mammogram, and it was really aggressive. So if I hadn't have gotten my mammogram, I feel like by the time I could have felt it, it would have been a lot worse. I'm only stage 1, and that's because I got my mammogram. Christy in Bay 1 is my chemo nurse, and she is amazing. I mean, nursing is her vocation, and I have felt so taken care of and so loved through the entire process. Everybody I have come in contact with in this whole process has been so kind and so caring and just really made a difference. I didn't feel like just a number or a piece of meat. I felt like a real human being being taken care of.